from inside of Bat City Comic Professionals in Bradenton, Florida to help you wind down your weekend. As always, I'm your host, Shannon Live, aka Small Press Shann, here to talk to you about this week's latest and greatest in indie and small press new releases. And it's going to be not a very big week, but a very good week. So it's still going to be awesome and exciting. And you're going to want to add all the books to your list, which thankfully this week, like I said, isn't a very big list. So you can just get all of them. That's the way that works. We are going to do that in just a second. But of course, if we're going to wind down our weekend, we're going to need to kick it off with some wine. So this week we are drinking a wine that I didn't actually read the name of. Is it just called Cab Franc versus Cab Sav? Does it have an actual name? Can I pick it? Let me pick it up. It is Rough and Ready Wine Productions, Cab Franc versus Cab Sav. And we're really excited to try this. This is a Trader Joe's wine, right? You got it. Okay. And it was recommended to us by our friends Andy and Andrea. You may know them if you're Bradenton people. Andy is the CEO over at the Bishop Museum, and Andrea runs the downtown public market as a part of her job at Realize Bradenton. They're amazing. You see them all over the place. They're wonderful humans. If you don't know them, you should definitely take the time to meet them if you live here in Bradenton, because they're fantastic. But as always, we're always trading like things that we need to look into each other, like with each other. And Andy and I just had a conversation at a Marauders game about how we both love Cab Francs, and he suggested that we try this one because it's one of his and Andrew's favorites. And so I'm really excited to try it. I know Matt is too. It is supposed to be aromas of boysenberry, which I couldn't tell you what a boysenberry smells like in the first place. Boysenberry jam specifically, but it's gonna have some black cherries, hints of oak, or hints of vanilla, and lightly toasted oak. I'm really excited. We love Cab Franc, so we're gonna see how this goes. It smells nice. That must be that boysenberry. I don't know what it smells like. Holy cow. Okay, well, that's definitely oaky and vanilla-y. I taste those.
Whoa.
I taste those right away.
Whoa. Great mouthfeel.
Mm-hmm.
Velvety.
Velvety. Very velvety. It, like, coats your tongue with the velvetyness. It's good. I say, again, very strong on the... Like, you get the oak right away, and then the vanilla kind of kicks in, like, to follow it, which is nice. I am assuming that, I mean, and then I guess I can taste the black cherry. But,
Wow.
oh yeah. I just licked, like, the top of my, like, touched my tongue to the top of my, the roof of my mouth, and, like, it was just complete black cherry, like, up on the roof of my mouth. Which is crazy that it's, like, dropping flavors into different parts of my mouth, and...
Wine.
Definitely
oaky.
Definitely oaky, which I like. I like that it's got a good oak taste. That's definitely going to taste really good with food, too. And Trader Joe's, so it's like, what, like less than $10?
It's like $7.99.
$7.99 for this wine? Oh my gosh. Yeah, that's great. And a really easy one for people to share with other people, because it is based like half Cab Sav, half Cab Franc, so it's going to be like a richer, smoother flavor than you'd get in a normal Cab Sav, but still have the, like, anybody can try it kind of Cab Sav flavors to it. I'm going to take another drink just because I can.
I think it's really going to open up too over time because it's so thick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, definitely.
I think right now that Sav is winning.
Yeah, it definitely tastes more Sav than Franc at the moment. Mm-hmm. But I would imagine Cab Franc takes a while to open up anyway, so I would imagine that it's going to come out. I almost want to tell you to take this bottle and go put it in a decanter like right now and like just start decanting it for later, because I'm like, there's so much flavor that is going to come out of this. That is definitely one of those like really potent flavor wines, but like not on the wine flavor. Like for those of you who are at home that are like, whoa, gross, I don't like wine. Like it's not heavy on the like winey taste. It's heavy on all of the other tastes, which is why it's probably a good universal wine. It doesn't have that like heavy tanniny psha. Kind of funny because they have boxing gloves on and I feel like it doesn't hit you in the face.
No, it's not as acidic.
Yeah.
But it's also, it tastes a lot like wood.
It does taste a lot like wood. Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, it kind of tastes like burnt wood.
I feel like coffee drinkers would probably like this as a wine. Because it's got so much of a strong, like, earthy flavor to it.
I'm excited for it to be completely different.
Yeah, I can't wait. There's not enough show for it to completely open, so you'll have to ask us next time you see us, or next show.
You just have to drink it a lot throughout the stream.
Right, totally. There's not enough time for that. We just, obviously, things that happened at Bad City this week. Of course, we were closed for the 4th of July. We hope everybody had some time with family and friends just to remember the important things in their community and to have that community moment. But we had a really awesome time yesterday because we had cartoonist Anthony Pizzo out here drawing free sketches for the kids, and there's always fun things that come out of that with Anthony getting ideas from people talking, and so we love to see. We had a great Bane comic sketch. We got to see Muppet Black Cat, which I think is my new favorite version of Black Cat. So there was lots of fun that we had. And of course, lots of fun to come because this week is our Fresh Start Book Club. So each month we meet with Fresh Start Book Club where we read a $1, we read the first issue of a comic, which we only charge you $1 for. A lot of times those are going to be image first. Every once in a while we'll throw in something for a surprise. This month we are reading Farmhand #1, which is really great because right now the ending of Farmhand is happening. They just came back after years of being on hiatus to wrap the story up. And so we're stepping all the way back to the beginning. We're going to read issue 1. We're going to talk about it, see what people are thinking about it. So if you have never read Farmhand #1, now's the chance. This Thursday at 7 o'clock, we'll be talking about it. So come join us. This Saturday, we've got a couple of different events. We've got comic creation workshops in the morning at 11:30. So if you've got kiddos, bring them out so they can learn how to do some comic making. And then we have Slam Academy that evening or that afternoon at 3:30, which I believe is inking and finishing, if I recall. I believe is the class that we have this week. So come out and join. Both of those classes are free. Slam is our advanced class, so if you have a kid or if you're a teen or early starting out artist and you want to come and hop in on that class with Adrian teaching, it's going to be a great class to jump in on. Other than that, there's probably some other stuff. But, the #1 thing that's happening this week at Bat City, if you didn't know, is Toxic Avenger, which has been coming out for a while. Had a little mini-series. Then we had, the Toxic Avenger team-up set. It just started with Toxie going head-to-head with Jesus Christ. Not in a battle, but in a learning experience, because they're both wonderful people trying to save the day. But they got an awesome announcement from Ahoy recently, which that Toxic Avenger is going to have an ongoing. And so it is relaunching with a new #1 from Ahoy, still writer Matt Boers on it. We're very excited. In fact, we're so excited that we are going to have a Toxic Avenger #1 Bat City Comics exclusive. This is actually drawn by the great Matt Boers. If you don't know him, 2-time Pulitzer Prize finalist Matt Boers. And writer of Toxic Avenger. And so Matt is still the writer on the ongoing, like I mentioned, but he is also the artist on the Bat City exclusive store variant. These are going to be available in the store this week for the launch of #1. We're very, very excited. Thank you, Ahoy. Thank you, Matt. To just helping us make this happen. We're really, really stoked. And yeah, you're going to be able to pick them up. And they are only $10. What? Oh my gosh. Only $10 for this exclusive cover. That's insane. It will come with a certificate of authenticity to tell you that you got one of the Bat City exclusives, so you'll be able to pick that up this Wednesday and on. We'll have them available throughout. They are limited numbers, so make sure you get your Toxie variant. Look at him cleaning up Bat City. Look at him in the store. He looks like he would be a great employee, honestly and truthfully. He might have damaged a couple things here and there, but it'll be fine. But yeah, that #1 hits shelves this week, and you can grab your Bat City exclusive anytime starting this Wednesday. And yeah. I'll put that over here because we're gonna talk about it again. All right, so we're gonna jump right into these books because there's only 20 of them this week, which is crazy small. But you know, it was a holiday week, so we're gonna get going. We're gonna start it out with Sam and Twitch issue 15 from Image Comics and our Spawn universe. This is, I say this a lot, but the Spawn universe, if you've never read Spawn, it's totally fine to just jump in and read some of these stories, and Sam and Twitch is definitely a good one to do that on because it is just a classic detective story that honestly has absolutely nothing to do with Spawn at all. But if you don't know them, Sam and Twitch are detective partners. Sam is your guy who is terrible at keeping up with protocol and being not like, he's the guy that just wants to like rough everybody up, and Twitch is the guy that like follows all the rules and usually does most of the like actual detective work. Well, over the course of this series, Twitch has actually been the one that got in trouble, and so Twitch is currently kind of suspended, possibly going to lose his job, possibly going to go to jail because of a situation that happened on a case. And so now that he can't do any of the actual investigating as part of the police department, it's up to Sam to actually do the work, and doing the legwork the old-fashioned way, where he doesn't get to actually rough and tumble people, but actually has to follow the rules. And in this issue, he is trying to get them to give him a warrant that'll go against the very people who like fund all of the police work and things like that in the city. And they're trying to explain to Sam that he can't just go in and demand things, and that he may need to find like better ways to even fill out paperwork in order to do it. And so it's just fun to see Sam have to face things in a different way, but also, is he going to be able to save his partner from jail time, from like his marriage ending, from possibly death, all kinds of things. It's a lot on Sam, but he's learning to really stretch his detective muscles in these issues. Null Hunter, issue 9 from Image Comics. This is a cyberpunk version of the Hercules, the Seven Labors of Hercules. So we are following a guy very much like in a futuristic cyber city who has lost his family and is having to work for these Olympian gods, but Olympus is actually like the corporation that gave him all of the advanced enhancements and things like that, and is forcing him to essentially do these labors to earn his freedom. And in this issue particularly, they have gone after, they're on a different place, and they are trying to go after this AI, essentially like robot that is feeding the intelligence into other robots, and kind of and giving it the ability to do all of its bad doings and try to go after the Olympians. And so they've sent him to kind of stop that. And Hercules has recently teamed up with another person, as well as a young kid who's been his assistant essentially for a while. And so in this one, they learn to rely on each other a little bit more, and Hercules has to try to learn to trust this kid to actually be a part of the team and not just be the kid that he's protecting. And so they have to do that in order to come together and figure out how they're going to stop this as yet another of Hercules' different labors. We've got Godzilla Heist, issue 5 from IDW. This is the wrap-up of Godzilla Heist. I definitely think we could see more heists to come from this. If you didn't read this story, this is all about a guy who has invented a way to essentially call Godzilla to where he's at whenever he is doing heists, so that he can set up distractions for the police and all of the different agencies, so that he can go in and do these heists. And he is brought in by a team who wants him to help them steal a specific item. And they are like, we need this in order to kind of just do all of the heist and things that we're going to do. And that specific item just happens to be something that he has a personal connection with, and he is hoping that he can double cross them. And over the last 4 issues, he's kind of had twists and turns and double crosses, and we found out like who's on whose side and what is the actuality, and all of that has led us to finding Mecha Godzilla in the last issue. And now we are in this battle because it's like, hey, you were supposed to be distracting Godzilla, but now that you've got Mecha Godzilla, now Godzilla is trying to come after that, and he is also trying to figure out if he can destroy Godzilla or not. And this is, of course, the action-packed conclusion to that story. Arcbound is back. We have issue 5 from Dark Horse. If you didn't get to read Arcbound when it was originally coming out, it's kind of been on a little break because one of the writers of it is Scott Snyder, who is a little busy writing Absolute Batman right now. But it is back. And if you didn't know, this concept was created by Tom Hardy, aka Venom, and it is being done by Scott Snyder and Frank Terry, which is such an all-star team. But this is all about a world where essentially the government controls everything, and they do it through a lot of going into planets and just basically taking over them and using them for their own resources and things like that. And there is a man who is a soldier and has always been whatever the company man who did whatever he was told to do. And one day he figured out that they were actually the bad guys, that they are essentially going into places where people aren't even doing anything wrong and they're taking control of them. And the government didn't want him. He stood against the government. The government didn't like that. They attempted to kill him, and he was actually saved by people who put him into an arc suit, which basically made his body like kind of mech suit compatible or completely. And now he is going against the very government that he used to work for, trying to take them down. And in this issue, he has made it to a secret vault where he is going to find all of the information he needs to prove that the government is the bad guy. But they have found their own leverage against him, and he's going to have to make some tough choices in this issue that's going to lead to some even bigger choices as the next couple issues come our way. And so glad that it's back, because that little hiatus left us on a big cliffhanger, and so I'm glad we're finally getting to see what happens next. Plague House issue 4 from Oni Press. This is a great wrap-up to the Plague House story that we've been getting the last couple months. If you didn't know Plague House, or if you don't know it yet, I feel like I still can't tell you anything about it because I don't want to ruin this completely interesting thing. But basically, it is the story of a man who is a ghost hunter on a TV show, and he's got 2 people that work on a show for him. One is a former priest who very much believes in an afterlife and the fact that these ghosts may be available around in the world as spirits, and another person who does not believe in ghosts at all. They are very much like there to be the tech person and to kind of be the naysayer against it. Well, both of them had an experience that has brought them to a completely different viewpoint on the idea of ghosts and what's happening. And meanwhile, our lead guy is totally involved in some even shadier stuff that I'm not going to tell you what it is. And there is a reason he goes into all these haunted houses, and a reason he's covering up with all of this show that he's doing. And that kind of comes into play in issue 2 and 3 that really changes it. And in this issue, as we are coming through this wrap-up, we are actually kind of seeing him come to terms with that in some big ways. And so it is going to be a wild ride if you didn't read it yet, but it's only 4 issues. I recommend going to a comic store and just buying all 4, and being very thankful that you don't have to wait, because each of the issues left you in like a crazy spiral, and now you can read it all as one. So this will be a great time to just do that because it's so good. We've got Bitter Root issue 4. This is the next movement from Image. It's taking us a little forward into history from where the last Bitter Root series ended, but this does have us in 1964 in Alabama, I believe is where we are now. And if you don't know, Bitter Root is about a family that has lives in a world where basically if you are a racist person, you become a complete and total monster, very vampiric, very like just ogreish, like just complete attack of everybody around you. Obviously a very strong, very well done metaphor. And in this world, they have this one family has kind of developed a way to stop that and build against it. And so over the years, they've kind of built a force of people who go out and fight racism through fighting these monsters. Well, it's 1960s in the South, and so there's still lots and lots for them to do. And so they have come out where in this series, they have gotten to the point where they realize, like, hey, it's worse than it's ever been before. We thought that we had gotten it under control, and it turns out that we haven't, and people are more hateful, and that hate is expanding into like the government and into all of the people, and we need to figure out a way that we can work together and bring our team back, and kind of stop that. And now that they're doing that, we're kind of seeing them go back and forth and bridge the gap between the last series and this one, where they're figuring out that maybe all of the things that they've been told in the past about how to just purify people is not the way it works. And they're also figuring out that people are trying to figure out how to get their hands on, the government is trying to get their hands on the purification serum, and not so that they can stop monsters. And they've got to figure out a way to stop all of that. And they've got to figure out a way to do all of that in one issue, because this is part 4 or 5. And so we're going to see how they do it. If you've never read Bitterroot before, it is a multi-Eisner nominated winning book that you absolutely have to check out, and so well done. So grab the whole series from times past. We've got Adventure Time issue 4 from Oni Press. If you are a fan of Adventure Time and you didn't know it was back in comic form, guess what? It is. If you've never seen Adventure Time, this is a chance to kind of figure it all out as you read this book, because it kind of takes place in the Adventure Time world, but it's kind of in its own timeline. And in this series, Finn and Jake are trying to figure out, they need to find a mysterious book that is going to help them become a hero. It's very important to Finn that Lumpy, space princess, starts to actually consider him a hero, because she always tells him he's not. He's just an adventurer. And so he is trying to figure out a way to do that. But in order to find this book, they need to find an actual hero, Billy. And Billy is hard to find. And as they're going on this adventure to find him, they keep getting brought into side quests. And this issue is no different, when Jake's uncle comes into play and is like, hey, I need you to help me save all your aunts and uncles. They are being held hostage by cats, and we need to go and battle against them to do it. And when we get there, that battle is through an epic dance-off, and so we must battle these cats to see who is the ultimate hero. And Finn is getting very mad because he just wants to go on his adventure, but as Jake keeps reminding him, being a hero means not turning away other people who are in need of help. Speaking of heroes throughout time, we've got Adventure Man Family Tree, issue 3 from Image. The Adventure Man universe is very big if you haven't read it yet, and yet somehow still all perfectly contained. It is all about essentially some people who are having pulp heroic adventures. A woman who has found herself connected to the world of what many people believe to just be fantasy stories, and she has now found herself kind of invested in them. And I love that it always goes back and forth between modern times and storytelling, and this issue is no different. Family Tree has us focusing on all of the girls who have taken over the Adventure Man moniker, and each of them getting a different story. And in this one, we see one of the girls is falling asleep as she's waiting for our main person, who has kind of locked herself in her room and is dealing with the mysterious disappearance of her son. And so she is reading a story, and it's about a man who goes on an adventure with the Adventure Man crew in the past, and is trying to restore the balance of the sanctity to these mermaids. And they have to return a long stolen weapon to them, and when he is in the process of doing that, other dangers come up, and so they actually have to fight and save the mermaids. And the mermaids are like, we can give you anything in return for all of your work, and he's like, no, I don't want that. I want to give you your stuff back. Meanwhile, in the modern times, we are seeing our person kind of parallel that story with what's going on, and I love it. I love when we have fictional stories inside of our normal stories to kind of balance out what is happening in the world. And are we going to see our team come back to reality? And are we going to get another volume of Adventure Man? Because even if they do, this is the last issue of this series, and yet we have not done any of the adventuring that has been foretold in this volume. So we may see some more to come very soon. Arcana Royale, issue 3 from Dark Horse Comics. This is a story all about a woman who is kind of known for her card shark skills in the poker world, and she is invited to partake in a special game, and that game is played against all kinds of mysterious, like supernatural people, angels, demons, things like that, of that nature. And it is a game for your soul. Like, the cards are completely different. You're not playing with a regular deck, nor are you playing by regular rules. And in the last issue, she figured out that the stakes that they are gambling on and the bets that they are making are actually what causes natural disaster and major attacks in the real world. And she has some weird feelings about it now, because she realizes she's not just gambling with her own life, but with everybody else's. And while she's considering possibly leaving the ring and leaving the game, she realizes that that's not really an option. And she is invited to what is called the Cathedral of Shadow, which is where the big major tournament is going to go. You know, it's like the Las Vegas of this game. And when she gets there, some new cards are dealt, shifting the rules once again. And she realizes that the game has never been just about what happens on the table, but has always been more about what is happening in the world around her as well, and that her life may be in more immediate danger more quickly than she even imagined. And we've got one issue left of this, and we're going to see if she's able to pull it off before the end. Warm Fusion issue 3. Guess what that means? That means it is the return of Distillery books. We have been waiting so excitedly and patiently for Distillery books to come back, and they are back. So yay! Congratulations, Distillery, for finding a distributor and getting your books back on the shelf. We are so stoked, and I'm so happy to see that we get to come back to Warm Fusion and figure out what's going on. It's been a minute, so if you haven't read it or if you forgot, Warm Fusion is about a very gritty crime story where some people from the streets essentially have gone missing, and the only person who really cares is another girl who lives down in the lower levels of this world, and she basically discovers that it's fellow members of her career and in her path, and she's missing other girls from her brothel essentially, and she's like, I have to figure this out. I'm the only one that can save them. And she has teamed up with a cop, but unfortunately for her, that didn't work out for the cop as much as she thought it would. And so now she's kind of going against this big corporation who is controlling all of these crazy experiments and stealing all these people to do all this stuff. And she's kind of going through it all on her own. And in this issue, if she's going to take them down, she realizes she's going to have to build a team. And she does just that out of some of the other girls from the club. And so they are like, we're going to take them out. They're taking our sisters. They're coming after our people, and we've got to do that. But she does realize that some of their things that they did when they captured her may be coming into play now, and she may have some big issues, but maybe some powers that will help her in this battle. And you're going to find out. I missed Distillery books. I missed this prestige format when they were gone, and all of the over the IMAX size photos that we've got going on. But if you haven't checked it out, jump into Warm Fusion, because it is wrapping up there. And maybe, like, I feel like, was it as open as an ending as I thought? No, it's pretty, I mean, it is, but it's a closed ending that's very, very good, and you need to check it out. All right, we've got Whatever Happened to the Crimson Justice issue 2 from Mad Cave. Which is also Frank Terry, which is, again, probably why Arcbound has been on a break for a minute. This is really cool. I really like when we get the stories where something happened with a superhero and they kind of stopped being superheroes, and now they're kind of being forced with that, and that's exactly what this is. In issue 1, we learned that in this world there used to be a superhero named Crimson Justice, and his big bad guy was Mayhem, and he's like stopped him for so long, like stopped him, defeated him, put all the like minor bad guys into prison, and so there wasn't really any need for him to exist anymore, and so he got to retire and live out his life in a normal way. But now, for the first time in decades, Mayhem is back, and everybody is freaking out, and of course he's like, does this mean I have to come out of retirement? But he's avoiding it, and we know who he is, but nobody else seems to. Meanwhile, all the other superheroes also went into retirement. So if Mayhem is there, there's nobody to stop him. And so he is going after all of the low-level villains that are still active or who were most recently captured by Crimson Justice or were, bad guys when he was around. Meanwhile, we also get to follow the story of the friendly neighborhood coffee shop guy who just seems really invested in what is happening with Crimson Justice and what's going on. And why is this old man at the coffee shop so into the superhero? And why is he so adamant that Mayhem is not back? You gotta read it and find out. Put those things together yourself. The Killer, Affairs of the State, Issue 2 from Boom Studios. This is such a good spy story that it's so traditionally good spy story too. It is a second volume. You do not have to have read volume 1 to read this. This is basically just a whole new story for this guy who, like I said, is a spy operative, and in this volume he is actually working on a case that has put him out kind of in the middle of nowhere, and he's getting the information on a need-to-know basis. And so while he's staying in this cabin, he notices that not far away from him, there seems to be a human trafficking ring going on, and he's not okay with that, even though as far as he knows it's not his mission. And so in between doing the work that he's supposed to be doing for his case, he actually starts looking into this group of people and figuring it out. In this issue, he does find out that these two things are going to intersect, and he is like, thank goodness, because I was going to do what I had to do either way on this, so now at least I have an excuse to take these people out. And he's like, but do you have more information? Why am I going after them? Why did they connect? And he's kind of learning bits and pieces very slowly, but also realizing that there's more to his job and to what he's supposed to be doing and who he's supposed to be as he does it. Again, classic spy thriller. And I love that the way all the shots are done in the book just feel so much like you're watching a spy movie. It's so good. If you are fans of any of those, like Jack Reacher or Born Identities or things like that, like any of those kinds of spy books, you should definitely check out The Killer. Ghostbusters, Dead Man's Chest, Issue 2 from Dark Horse. This is in the universe of the new Ghostbusters movies, and it also is the sequel to the most recent Ghostbusters comic that came out that follows those people as well. And so they have recently moved to New York, and they are trying to make a life for themselves. If you read the previous volume, you know that didn't work out for them to not be Ghostbusters because, well, for one, they moved into the Ghostbusters house, and for two, they want to have a normal life, but they know that they're the Ghostbusters and they have to actually deal with it. In this issue, while they're all just trying to have a normal day, the parents are trying to figure out how to keep everything together at the Ghostbuster place while the kids can actually live their lives. But a giant ghost octopus attacks the Statue of Liberty, and as they realize that is just stage 1, because there is actually a ghost pirate that comes with the ghost octopus, and there is actually a curse on, like a cursed pirate essentially, who just wants to find his way home, and they're going to have to help him do that before, hopefully, all of the ships make their way to harbor with an attack on New York City. Again, if you're a fan of the new Ghostbusters, you're absolutely going to love this. If you're a fan of just fun adventures that are family-friendly, this is also really great. It's written by David Boer, so my Kanto fans, you know there's going to be a lot of heart in the story for sure. So definitely grab it, check it out, and share it with the kids because they do love the Ghostbusters. We've got Lady Baltimore, The Daughters of Medusa, issue 2 of 2 from Dark Horse. This is in that Hellboy universe, and much like I said with the Spawn universe earlier, if you've never read it, it doesn't really matter if you've read the overall thing, because it doesn't actually really connect all that much. And so this is all about Lady Baltimore, who is a woman who kind of deals with some supernatural occurrences on her own. She's kind of just an investigator who just puts paranormal activity to bed. And she has recently been called in because there is a situation where a young girl has been kidnapped, and that young girl just happens to be the descendant next in line to become Medusa, basically the ruler of the Medusa sisterhood, the Daughters of the Medusa, as always gets the title of Medusa and becomes the living spirit of the famous Gorgon, and rules over her group of sisterhood. And now this kid has been stolen, and so Lady Baltimore must actually go out and do the work to find her. She has to go to the Gorgon Society, though, and get claimed as part of them in order to be able to take on this adventure. And her female friends and some Gorgons actually go in to try to figure out how to save this young girl. And they need to do it quickly, because if they don't do it fast enough, the current Medusa will die, and this young kid will come into all of the powers of Medusa instantaneously, and which would give that power to the people who have kidnapped her. And so we're going to figure out whether or not they can save the day in time in this issue. We've got Illuminati issue 1 from AWA. This is starting to open up, obviously, a new story that's going to be all about a woman who is dealing with the death of her twin sister. She shows up to find out that her sister has been murdered, and she wants to find out what exactly happened to her. Recently, her sister had moved to LA to become a musician and a pop star, and when she was out there, something happened. Somebody, maybe the producers, maybe somebody else, her sister doesn't know, but nobody is letting her know what actually happened, and she believes that her sister was murdered, and so she has to do the work to figure it out. In this, she finds herself starting to see visions of her sister, and her sister's kind of leading her to paths that she must go down, and she ends up getting a note from a man who is connected to the record label, who is like, hey, I can tell you what happened to your sister. But in the process, she realizes that there is something definitely dark and dastardly happening, and her investigation is going to lead her into some very dangerous places. This is going to be, this is going to be like a big book. It's got, a lot going on in this very first issue. Some ghosts, some dangerous people, some who do I trust, who I don't, who do I take the situation and like try to actually like get involved and see what happens. Am I going to go undercover? Is that going to work? Am I going to just die? We're going to find out. It's only 5 issues, I believe. So it's going to be a big adventure in a quick path. Next up, we've got some new number 1s. The first one is Gehenna Naked Aggression, number 1 from Image. Thought that would mean that the whole book was going to be nude. Thankfully, it's not. So people can read it, and it can go on the shelf. But this is actually about a woman who is... I don't want to say she's a spy, but she's kind of an operative of sorts, and she is trying to take down, I guess she's an assassin. That's the word I'm looking for. She's trying to take down this guy who is a drug trafficker, and she goes in to do that, and he's not home, but all of his people are, and they're like, oh, we're gonna kill you for breaking in. And she's like, the only thing I can do to get out of this situation is she kidnaps the drug trafficker's son. And she's like, this could work either way, because either he's gonna figure out that I'm not gonna hurt him and he's gonna run away, or the people that are the goons of this drug trafficker are going to figure out that I won't hurt the kid, and they're just going to shoot me anyway. But so this whole first issue is her adventuring with this kid to try to get out of this house and find a safe place that they can go. It also gives us our background story about why she cares. Why is she going after this person? Why did she choose the path that she's on? And what is her backstory? And I like the way they interweave it with like the kid asking a question and her having the memory, but then like them being like on a thin path trying to get across like a city skyscraper like kind of situation. And she's like, oh yeah, like we need to stay safe, and like bombs, like guns and all kinds of things go off as she figures it out. Gonna be a big action story, because we also in this issue unveil some people who they're gonna send after her, and it's just gonna lead us into bigger and more explosion-y kind of situations. Speaking of big explosion-y kind of situations, we've got Dread Mutt number 1 from Keen Spot. If you took Judge Dredd and John Wick and made an anthropomorphic dog out of it, you kind of get this. It's very Judge Dredd, but with a dog, hence the Dread Mutt name. And it's Keen Spot, so it's obviously kind of a parody. And so we are dealing with an evil scientist whose name is Steven Seagal, in a world where, and he looks like Steven Seagal, But it is a world where DNA splices have happened, and so like some people are born with animal DNA, and this scientist have figured out how to separate that DNA and kind of, save his own child, who he turned back into a human from being an anthropomorphic animal. But he is determined to take down Dreadmutt, and the way he is going to do that initially is by sending all of his own goons after them, which is a group of different anthropomorphic people, and they are not the best and brightest at all. And Dreadmutt is obviously our big action hero, and so he is going to come in here with some big battles, some big guns, and some big fights. And he gets involved in this whole thing because while he's paid to do it. He is essentially a bounty hunter. He gets the call for this job, and he's going to have to go after it. And we're going to see what happens as the story unfolds in the most ridiculous way possible. All right, we're going to go to our picks of the week. We've got 3 picks as usual. First up is going to be Sisterhood #1 from Image and the Ghost Machine universe. And this is a side story in our Hyde Street world. So this is going to be a huge story. We're actually going to get 5 issues out of this. Most of our little side stories for Hyde Street have been one-shots, but this is going to be a 5-part miniseries, and I have been waiting for this book since February, so I'm so excited. This is about a young girl who has a very best friend, and they've always been super close. Lots of things happened. They went through a car accident together when they were children, and that kind of gave them an even bigger bond. And now they are in college, and when they get to college, one of the girls is very much like head down, do her homework, study as much as possible, just there to learn and do whatever she can. And the other girl really wants to be a part of things, and she wants to party and she wants to have fun, and so she is pledging a sorority. And while she is at her sorority rush activity where some hazing is happening, and let's be honest, we don't do that anymore, right, sororities? So there's some hazing, and it's bad, and something absolutely terrible happens, and the girl that has always kept her head down is forced to kind of be the one to deal with it. And so she is turning to whatever means necessary. And as she starts to struggle with her schoolwork and kind of lose sight of everything, she finds herself with the answers from somebody on Hyde Street. And if you know our Hyde Street universe, you know that when you find yourself on Hyde Street, there is some soul collecting going on, and you may be about to make some very dangerous, very terrible decisions. And this is the start of that story for her. We're going to see what happens. It is so good. I can't wait. I'm going to take another drink before I do the last 2, since we only have 2 left. So again, we're drinking Cab Franc versus Cab Sav. I'm so excited to see what it tastes like now. Holy cow.
The fruit has opened up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like way less like on the front now. But it's still there on the back. The vanilla moved to the back too. Like the vanilla is almost like the middle is like the vanilla now. Bridging the 2 together. Holy cow. The smell got really strong. I just held that up to my nose way too long. Now that was spicy on my nose. That is a good wine though. Oh my gosh. I'm trying to see, is there anything else that it says about it? No? Not at all. Just drink responsibly. I was just curious if there was like anything about where they're different. I mean, I guess it's a California wine, so the Cab Sav is Californian, but I'm just curious where their Cab Franc grapes and stuff are grown. I'm gonna have to look it up. All right. We're going to jump into Grimm issue 23 from Boom Studios, which may be our very last issue of Grimm. It may not be. Honestly, it says to be continued ... But where that continuation is going to come and when is another story. So, if you haven't read, first of all, I really love this Dan Panosian cover. If you haven't read Grimm, it is the story of a girl named Jess who finds out that who works as a reaper for death, and is very much like her job is to go out and get people who are dying and collect their souls. And in the very first couple of issues, she finds out that she is the only Grim Reaper that was never alive. And so she was like born to death. And she doesn't understand what that means until she finds out that she is actually the child of death itself. And so she supposed to be the one to take over and has all of this power that comes with that, but she doesn't seem to want it. And initially, in the early stages of this book, her aunt staged a coup and tried to take over, and in the process of that, people stopped dying because nobody was actually leading them to death, and so death had gone missing. The Grim Reaper's staff was gone, or scythe was gone, I guess I should say, and Jess was going through this massive adventure to try to figure out what exactly was going to happen, and she had to face life, she had to face time, she had to face death head on, and now she is facing the end. And the end is trying to help her figure out who she wants to be. Does she want to be does she want to be death? Does she want to be life? Does she want to be just a normal person who gets to experience humanity for the first time ever? And Jess has to come to terms with all of those things in this issue. And I really love the way Stephanie Phillips did this, because the whole thing is, the end is like, I'm going to let you ask me some questions, but then I'm going to ask you 3 questions. And the 3 questions I'm going to ask you are going to determine what the answer really is for you. And it's the questions are so great. They're kind of the things we should ask ourselves as well. Just like, what do you want? Like, who do you want to be? But like, what is life? What is death? Like, is death fair? Like, all these kinds of questions that he asked her. And it's just such a great thought-provoking issue, and such a beautiful potential ending. But again, there's a ... So is Stephanie Phillips really done with it? Is she going to give us more? Where is she going with this? I don't know, but this is a beautiful ending if it is an ending, and could set up so much more if it's not. So we'll see where it goes. And then lastly, we have Comics of the Movement, issue 1 from Good Trouble Comics. And this is something that I need to order a ton more of, because everybody should have this in their collection. So if you don't know, Good Trouble Comics is a publication that a publisher who is trying to kind of bring stories to life that don't get the attention that they need. It's also trying to teach different things about civics and history and things we need to know. And so what they actually did in this issue is they reprinted comics that have never actually been traditionally printed. And the first is Martin Luther King and the Montgomery Story, which was actually created as a zine essentially by a church in the 1960s. And it was the story of Martin Luther King Jr. and the work that he did in Montgomery. It's got Rosa Parks and the bus story. It's got the Montgomery marches and things in there. This, like I said, was made by churches by hand themselves in the 60s. And there were, I believe it was 250,000 copies of this printed and distributed around to different churches and schools and organizations, essentially making it a zine because it was self-published. And it led to so many people understanding what it was that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was doing in a time when there was not news coverage covering the work, at a time when a lot of people didn't necessarily have access to media or to newspapers. This actually put it in the hands of people who needed to see what happened, including a young John Lewis, who says in his interviews post this that it is actually what inspired him to join the work that he did with join the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which of course led him to become a representative and to all of the good works that he did and get into good trouble. So this actually prints that story again. It also, at the back of that story, if you've never read it, which I strongly believe none of you have because it hasn't been in print since 1964, it actually has his method for making change without making violence, and it's just an absolutely beautiful step-by-step guide on how to do it, and it's so wonderful. And then the other thing that's in here is the Loudoun County Freedom Organization made a bunch of guides for, what did they call them? I want to make sure I get it right. There was a whole bunch of books that they did. They had a name. It was something, I can't find it, but it was the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee did this in 1963 and 1964 in Selma. And actually, this is the first. This predates Black Panther in Marvel Comics, and it predated the Black Panther organization of them using this Black Panther as their mascot on these zines, essentially, that they made to kind of explain the power that the Black community could have if they stood up and they actually voted. And so this was a series of books that they did, and one of the things that they wanted to do was they actually wanted to teach the people in this county. They worked to get them the right to vote, and then they wanted to teach them why and how and who they should vote for. And so they made these books, and the cover of each one would have a candidate that they were pushing for in the community, and then it would explain what that person's job was. And so it was like, this one was for somebody running for sheriff, and it was like, well, what does a sheriff actually do? And so they made these miniature zines and comics to kind of explain what that process of that job was, and then so you could understand why this member of your community would be a good person for it. And it's like, you know this person, and you know that they're good at these things, so maybe they'd make a good thing. And it goes through like, this is like for tax collector. What is a tax collector? Why do we care? What is it that they're supposed to be doing? How do they get paid? I learned how a tax collector got paid from this, like the exact way that like they were paid back then for the work that they did. And it was like tax assessor. What does the tax assessor do? What does a coroner do? And just kind of, what does the Board of Education do? And who are candidates do? And they have an interview at the back of this book with the people who actually were the students making these at the time. And they talk about how the big thing was, you know, the literacy rates weren't very high at the time. And so they were like, what are ways that we can explain things to people where they might actually get something that they've never understood before, because people just didn't understand the way politics worked, and they didn't have the literacy rate to read the in-depth bills and laws and things that were coming out. And so they were like, what if we made it into pictures, and what if we made comics out of it? And then what if we told them, hey, our community can be a part of this, like you know Alice, you should vote for Alice. You should get out there and actually do it. And here's why. And then they could go around the community and talk about it. They also have in here one other book that they did, which was called Us Colored People. And it basically was the pamphlet that they used to hand around that was like, we're sitting there and all we're doing is we're using our mouths to eat and say yes sir, when what we should be using them for is to speak up for our people and to fight against this opposition and to fight against this government that's not speaking for us, and it's not going to speak for us until we speak for them. And so they made this comic to help them explain exactly what they should be doing, what they should be saying, where they should be saying it, and why they should be saying it. It was so great. And so again, these are comics from the 1960s that were made as zines, that were handed out in communities, and Good Trouble Comics actually went out, got the scans, and put them all together again so that you can actually see them for the first time and know why it's important to vote, and understand what the civil rights movement was doing and why it was so important. And so I'm going to do my best to get more copies of this. Honestly, if you are a history teacher or civics teacher and you need copies, again, if I have to reach out to Good Trouble directly and see how I can get more copies for schools and teachers who need them. But if you're somebody who wants to have one, please let us know, because this is such a fantastic thing. The interview alone would be worth it. And that Martin Luther King Jr. and the Montgomery story is actually in my History and Impact of Comics on American Culture speech. And so I was so excited to finally get to read the whole thing. And I think everybody else should too. So check that out. We've got a bunch of other comics in stock. If you didn't know, a Canadian is writing Captain America, aka Chip Zdarsky. Chip Zdarsky's Captain America #1 launched this week. I'm really excited for it because I've been waiting since Chip talked about it to read what exactly he was doing with the story. It sounds like he's got big plans. I think it's going to be great. Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe one last time, issue 4. Daredevil issue 23. Birds of Prey also hitting issue 23. I am really excited that Birds of Prey is still ongoing. That is so great. Avengers issue 28. Batgirl issue 9, which is a Cass Kane Batgirl series, which we don't get a lot of. Absolute Green Lantern issue 4 is out. Godzilla versus Thor. This is a one-shot. All of these one-shots leading up to the Godzilla Destroys the Marvel Universe. Gotham City Sirens are back again with Unfit for Orbit issue 1. This will be a weekly title, so you'll be able to get all of it really quickly. You won't have to wait. Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong Volume 2, issue 2 out this week. Resurrection Man Quantum Karma issue 4. Amazing Spider-Man issue 7. Star Wars Hyperspace Stories issue. This is the Codebreaker story issue 2. Star Wars Jedi Knights issue 5. All New Venom issue 8. It's 8, right? Yes, okay. Immortal Thor issue 25. We've got some more Wolverine and Deadpool with Wolverines and Deadpool's issue 1. We couldn't have a year go by without the Hellfire Gala, even though we don't have Krakoa anymore, and so we are having a Hellfire Vigil from the X-Men. X-Men 19 is out this week. Ultimate Wolverine number 7. Walking Dead Deluxe has hit issue 116. Secret 6 is on issue 5. Power Rangers Prime issue 8 is out this week. We've got our Marvel Zero, which is going to catch you up on all things Marvel. It's going to include some of that free comic book day matter and some more. Wolverine issue 8. Black Hammer Spiral City issue 7. Bring on the Bad Guys, Green Goblin. This is the piece of that puzzle. If you don't know, this is a big Mephisto story that's going on through a couple of different, going on with all the different villains, I guess, in the Marvel Universe that you know and love. That is Green Goblin's in there. And it's bringing out a new character, Sister Sinister, and I should have brought that cover because she is so wicked cool looking. She's not in that easily. She's in it, but she's not easy to find. So no big splash of her in that issue. So you just have to come find that cover because it's so cool. We got some trade paperbacks and graphic novels in stock. We've got volume 1 of EC Comics Cruel Universe. This is the sci-fi anthology. We've got Invincible in the new volume. They are reprinting, somebody asked me this the other day, they are reprinting the Invincible trade paperbacks in compact size, a little bit smaller, as you can see, with new covers. And so this is Invincible Volume 10, which is issues 54 through 59, and the Astounding Wolfman number 11. Dick Tracy Volume 2 is out. This is going to be our newest arc of Dick Tracy, which is going to be all about who is the blank.
What issues?
6 through 10. And the Valentine's Day special is in there, which is so cute. We've got Carmelopolis, the Land of Cars, and this is just a really funky story. It is a world in which no one walks when they can drive, and siblings must navigate the roads of the highways medians to uncover the strange secrets of the Land of Cars. Gonna be a funny, awesome thing. And look at all this. It's got some cool art for you to check out. So yeah, if you like a good graphic novel, this is a top shelf, and so it's going to be obviously really good and really fun. And then DC's got its next compact out with The Authority. This is $9.99 for all of The Authority. It is what's the subtitle? The Relentless. Is this actually volume 1? This is volume 1 of The Authority, right? And is it just volume 1 or is it? Yeah. It's gonna go through. I can open it up. I've got the book right here in my hand. I want to see how far into this it goes. Oh wow, that goes to a lot. Okay, so yeah, you're gonna want to check this out. Ooh, look at
1 through 12.
Yeah, I think so. Black Gutters. Look at that craziness. If you haven't read The Authority yet, this is going to come into play big in James Gunn's new universe, and so you're going to want to check it out. And this is Brian Hitch on art, which, if you're a Ghost Machine fan, you should check that out. And then that's all the books that came out this week. So I guess the only thing to talk about once again is the fact that this week, coming up on Wednesday, we will be launching Toxic Avenger number 1 for the new ongoing with our Bat City exclusive. This is drawn by the writer of Toxic Avenger, Matt Bors. It is it's gonna be so great. This book is good. We're gonna be talking about it all next week, and we are gonna have these again. They're an exclusive, so there's a limited number. You're gonna want to make sure you get yours. $10. What'd you say?
It's got Bad City.
Right, it's got Bad City on it. Like, literally, Toxie is inside of Bad City cleaning it. You got to get one. You got to get one for your collection. You got to get one to read. We'll have the regular covers too if you don't want to mess up your Bad City exclusive, but for $10 you could just get 2. And so we'll have them here this Wednesday. You're definitely able to come grab them that week and come for book club on Thursday. Fresh Start Book Club, we're reading Farmhand #1. It starts at 7 p.m. We'll see you there. If we don't see you then, we'll hopefully see you on Wednesday for New Comic Book Day. As always, I'm Shannon. It's been fun. Happy reading, everyone.